Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to start our
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
10 days International Capacity Development Program on
रजिस्ट्रेशन तो
research in
करवाया नहीं,
practice.
ज्वाइन कर दिया। उसके हम लोग वो मेंबर बने हैं,
Those who are
ठीक है।
unmute,
तो उन्होंने
please
link
mute
भेजा था।
yourself. So, today we are starting our 10 days International Capacity Development Program on research in practice. This is organized by Department of Education, Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya, and in collaboration with Department of Education, Swami Vivekananda University, Barakpur, Kolkata, and CTPD, that is Center for Teachers Professional Development, India. So we are very fortunate to collaborate 3 institutions to organize such an enriching program on research in practice. You know, the summer vacation, the summer situation is very worst in West Bengal. That is why a small summer vacation has started from this Monday in West Bengal, at least for 1 week, and we don't know how many days it will continue. We wanted this program to start as offline, that is on hybrid mode, online and offline, both mode. But due to this worst situation, we are at home and we have to start this program online, at least for this week. So we are starting this program online. Our principal madam could not join due to network problem. So on behalf of our college, I welcome you all in this program on the first day. With me, there are many resource persons and the participants from all over India. And I would like to invite first the collaborative partner of this program, the President Eastern Zone of CTPD, that is Center for Teachers Professional Development, Dr. Prathita Bishwas, and at the same time, she is the professor of Department of Education of Swami Vivekananda University, Kolkata. So I would like to invite her to give her welcome speech.
Good morning, one and all, and thank you, Shamosri ma'am, one of the organizing committee members from Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya. And I, on behalf of CTPD India and Department of Education, Swami Vivekananda University, welcome you all in this 10 days and 30 hours capacity building and development program. Together, we will be learning a lot, and I hope that we will also have a mutual cooperation and understanding related to some of the technical know-hows, basically entering at 11 o'clock. It is better not to become late because we are having this very tight schedule between 11 to 2 p.m. Second of all, please keep yourself in mute. Though you are all in mute, but whenever it is, if you are there, if you have any questions, then you can write in the chat box. We will definitely respond to you. And once again, we hope that we all together will have a fruitful learning and a great collaborative atmosphere so that we can also meet and exchange our new ideas, not only in this workshop, but in the coming future also. Thank you to one and all, and over to Shamosri ma'am.
Thank you, Prathita ma'am. Now it is the time to welcome our today's resource person, Dr. Udayan Mondol, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Bankura University. Udayan, on behalf of Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya, Swami Vivekananda University, and CTPD, we welcome you to deliver your speech, and we are very fortunate that you are the first speaker in this 10 days, 30 hours workshop. Have you joined, Udayan?
Yes, I'm completely hearing you. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible to Samasri and
Yes, yes,
Prathita Di?
you are audible, and your topic is an introduction into research methodology. Without explaining further, I would request Udayan to start today's program.
And we would like to also introduce Dr. Udayan Mondol as the Assistant Professor of the Department of Education of Burdwan University.
Bankura University, ma'am.
Bakura University, I am extremely sorry, of Bakura University. And he is extremely versatile and scholar in his own right. And at a very young age, he has joined Bakura University and has given a lot of representation, both as a scholar, as a good teacher, and as well as a versatile writer. And he has a lot of NGO activities also. So we welcome you, Udayan, Dr. Udayan Mondol, in this first day program. Over to you, Udayan.
Thank you, Prathita Di, Dr. Prathita Vishwas, Professor, Department of Education, Swami Vivekananda University. And of course, my friend, Dr. Shamasi Shur, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya. It's a very good initiative taken by the Siddhinath Mahavidyalaya and in collaboration with Swami Vivekananda University and CTPD, that is Center for Teachers Professional Development. We have gathered here in a platform of digitalization forum and a 10 days international capacity building program on researching practice. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity for sharing my little knowledge, and I think I shall be very honored if I have an opportunity to learn from you, the participant. I think you are also one of my learners. So thank you all and good morning to everyone. In our West Bengal, we are going through a scorching heat, excessive heat. In our home, we are feeling that we are in a burning beds, burning floors, etc. So everyone, I like to share a PPT presentation. Shamasri, am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
And
yes, you are
visually?
audible.
Yes, Udayan, you are
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me share my PPT. Is the PPT visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, sir. It's
yes.
visible.
Okay, thank you. As I've been addressed by Dr. Shamastri, and I have selected a nominal topic, that is introduction into research methodology. In the gathering here, I think everyone or much of you are engaging in yourself in research. So from that perspective in mind, we are going to discuss what is research methodology. And first of all, we will try to grab the meaning. We will try to understand the meaning of research. I am very thankful to C.R. Kothari for his book, Research Methodology, Methods and Techniques. From his book, I have studied and I have learned a lot. So in my presentation, the C.R. Kothari's book is one of my sources. And other sources are also there. Lokesh Kaul and research material from Department of Education, University of Kolkata, distance more. So, what is the meaning of research? It is needless to say that research, if we go through dictionary, if we go through any kind of modern dictionary, we will find.
Please keep yourself on mute, Savitri ji, please.
Is there any problem?
No, you can continue.
Okay,
Actually,
thank you.
someone was unmute and speaking, so I told her to stop. You can please continue then.
Okay. Thank you. So, if we go through any kind of modern dictionary, we'll have the meaning of research as a careful investigation. Stated that a careful investigation and inquiry. So these two terms are very significant: investigation and inquiry. If we analyze the investigation or inquiry, we will find that what kind of knowledge we have in ourselves and what kind of question or what kind of problem we want to solve, these type of curiosities or this type of curious aspects need to be solved. When we go through various investigation stages or inquiry phases, then we have a kind of knowledge. I must say that
Udan, please share your screen full screen, please.
oh, okay. Now, is it a full screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay. So, it's investigation and inquiry. I must emphasize on these two terms. Another researcher, Redman and Mary, defines in their opinion that research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. A little bit ago, I just emphasized on what kind of knowledge we will have after going through different investigation stages or inquiry stages. We will have a new knowledge. I must emphasize on new knowledge. Everyone we have in ourselves some kind of knowledges. when we have new knowledge on a particular thing, on a particular topic, or on a particular aspect, then we realize, or we must say that we have come to a stage, we have come to a different phase from research oriented stages. So Redman and May defines research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. And another person, Theodorson also emphasize that research is a systematic and objective attempt to study a problem. It's a systematic and objective attempt to study a problem for the purpose of delivering general principles. So here we have three kind of meaning, three aspects, but clearly stated, all three definitions are clearly stated that research is an investigation, research is a systematic effort, research has some kind of objective attempts to a study of a problem, and above all, it will enable one to gain a new kind of knowledge. So from this aspect, we must have a mentality, we must have a mental setup that what will research to us, what will be the meaning of research to us. So original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Yes, there are two type of knowledges are in ourselves. That is, one is root knowledge, and another is new knowledge. I must say, what is root knowledge? That knowledge we already have in ourselves of a particular topic, particular thing, or particular problem. That is our root knowledge. And when we go through different stages, different systematic effort, we have a new kind of knowledge. That is research. So root knowledge is to be modulated. Root knowledge is to be modified, or we can say some kind of experimented form. Then we will have a new kind of knowledge. So it is the pursuit of truth. When we go after a topic, when we go after a problem, we will must pursue of truth with the help of study, observation, comparison, and experiment. Obviously, when we engage ourselves in any kind of researches, then we must have to study, observe, compare, and experiment. In short, it is, we must say that in short, it search for knowledge. I think here there in our participant, there are teachers, professors, scholars, students. All we have come through in our state, in our present stage, we have come through a different kind of aspect, observation, comparison, and experience. Those who are engaging in yourself as a research field, or those who are termed as a research scholar, they are comprehending this term very relevant way. That they are pursuing study, observation, comparison, and experiment. And of course, it's a search of knowledge through objectives and systematic method to find a conclusion. The systematic approach concerning generalization and formulation of a theory is also kind of research. So research refers to the systematic method consisting of enumerating the problem, formulating a hypothesis, collecting the facts of data. This kind of aspect we'll try to discuss in later stages. But in research field, we must have to go through this kind of stages. One need to formulate a problem, one need to formulate hypothesis, collecting facts, and in other words, we call it data, and analyzing the facts and data and reaching certain kind of conclusions. So these kind of phases or stages leads to us a research and above all generalization of a new knowledge. Okay, moving to the next slide. So these are the common characteristics and nature. When we analyze, when we discuss what is the nature of research, we are not discussing educational research here, but we are discussing a particular, not a particular, a generalized form of research. So what is the nature of research? Research will originate with a question or problem, definitely. When we go through any kind of research, we must have originate, or we must have in ourselves questions. Next, research requires a clear articulation of goal. Definitely, when we achieve a certain kind of goal, we are going different, we are going multiple kind of objectives, multiple kind of stages, multiple kind of phases. Then we lead to ourselves in a goal. Research requires a specific plan of proceeding, like a building construction. When we build our home or any kind of construction, there need a planning, clear cut planning. Where will be the bedroom, where will be the kitchen, where will be the toilet, where will be the dining room, or any kind of structures we need. It's a clear planning. It's a clear, specific procedure of planning. So research requires a specific plan. Those who are newly in research field, they are formulating or they are planning specific procedures for completing their research work. So it's a very, very relevant space and relevant nature of research, that is specific plan of procedure. Next one is research usually divides the principal problem into more manageable subproblems. Definitely, when we discuss about the variables or sub-variables in our research language, we will term this kind of subcategory as variables. So research usually divides the principal problems into more manageable problems. Those problems which we must manage in our research field. Those problems we will not able to manage in our research field, then our research will not be fruitful, will not reach its destiny. So it is a very needful one that research problem must be manageable one. Next, research is guided by specific research problems and questions or hypotheses. These are the languages, specific languages, hypotheses, problems, and questions. One researchers are guided primarily problems. So in our research field, we emphasize one researcher in formulating or in selecting a problem very, very much. So research is guided by specific research problems, questions, or hypotheses. Research accepts certain critical assumptions. In our there are various kind of research sections or research types. There are certain kind of questions, objectives, assumptions, assertion. So research accepts certain kind of critical assumptions. When we go into a research problem, we first formulate some kind of objectives. What will be the objective of our research during next few years? So ascertaining this kind of assumptions or objectives or problems is one of the very relevant nature of research. And another one is research requires the collection and interpretation of data in attempting to resolve the problem that is initiated the research. Collecting or gathering information or gathering sources or gathering or having any kind of knowledge regarding research problem oriented in our research field, we will term this as review of related literature. From extensive reviews or related literature, we have acquired, we will have acquired some kind of data, some kind of knowledges, some kind of ideas. So these are the nature of research, and here we have research characteristics. Research is directed towards the solution of a problem. Obviously, what kind of problem we have selected, and this problem need to be solved. After selecting a problem, one need to solve his or her problem. So research, it is the first and foremost characteristics that towards research directed towards the solution of a problem. Research emphasizes the development of generalization, principles, or theories that will be helpful in producing future consequences. When we engage ourselves in any kind of research, we will not be able to tell or will not be able to narrate that what kind of future consequences will occur from my research or from one's research. It is the assumption. It is the theories which we will help in during our research 10 years. So future occurrences or predicting future occurrences is one of the emphasizing field. Research is based upon observable experience or empirical evidence. In our research field, we term some kind of researcher original researcher. That kind of research never be done previously. That will termed as original work. And some kind of research already have been done previously. And there will be some kind of limitations or delimitations. Those limited area we need to discuss in our researchable problem. Most of the research are being observed previously, are being observable experience. And next characteristics one is that research demands accurate observation and descriptions. specific and to the point accurate observation is one of the demandable aspect of research. Research requires expertise. Obviously, it's not a single-handed work. Research is not a single-handed work. We need to have opinion from different experts, different teachers, different scholars, different friends. So research is a required where experts' opinion is one of the important aspects. Research involves the quest for answers to unsolved problems. When we formulate a problem, this or that kind of problem need to be unsolved, need to be solved in different kind of answers giving way. In our research work, when we formulate objectives, these objectives need to be answered. These objectives need to be solved. So formulating objectives in research parameter, in research work is very significant. So research involves the quest for answers. Those objectives which you are formulating is your questions. And these questions you need to solve in your previous chapters, in your forthcoming work, by hypothesis testing, by statistical procedure, or any kind of way you need to answer those kind of problems. Research is characterized by patient and unhurried activities. Obviously, research is not a hurried one. Research is not an impatient work. Research demands patient way, observation, and unhurried activities. When we engage ourselves in a hurried way, our research will not be that kind of research which you want to imagine or you want to wish. So one need to be patient and unhurried way activities in research. Research is carefully recorded and reported. In our last chapter of thesis, there we formulate research report, or there we formulate findings of the research. So in the last section of the research, we recorded our research work and reported in a printed form. It very much characteristics of one of the research. And last one is research sometimes requires courage and intellectual honesty. It is needless to say that it's a very courageous one, which topic or which problem you are selecting, and intellectually honest, definitely, or make you honest, or being your work is an honestable one. Here we have a software, or here we have a concept, that is plagiarism. What is the function of plagiarism? Plagiarism makes us that we will not copy, or we will not Xerox any kind of printed form or any kind of depiction or any kind of information from another researcher. So intellectually honest, a researcher need to be intellectually honest. So from this nature and characteristics, we have a little knowledge about research, little knowledge about nature of research, and what are the characteristics of research. Here in discussion, I like to say research related two kind of aspects, that is a systematic purpose and advancing or generating knowledge. Leading to the next slide, it's a type of research. Clearly, I'm not discussing here any particular research type, but those research types which are available in our social science field, not only social science, in any kind of field, there are certain types of research. Here we are showing that descriptive research versus analytical research. Descriptive research is one which includes surveys or fact-finding different types. The major purpose of descriptive research is depiction of the state of affairs as it exists at present. In social science or business research, we quite often use the term ex post facto research for descriptive research studies. What are the main characteristics of this method? In this method, the researcher has no control over the variables. He can only report what has happened or what is happening. Most ex post facto research projects are used for descriptive studies in which the researcher seeks to measure such item as, for example, frequency of shopping, performance of people, or similar data. So, ex post facto studies also include attempts by researchers to discover causes, even when they cannot control the variables. The method of research utilized in descriptive research are surveys method of all kinds, including comparative and correlational method. So in short, we have a idea of descriptive research. And what about analytical research? In analytical research, on the other hand, the researcher has to use facts or information already available and analyze this to make a critical evaluation of the material. So descriptive research and analytical research are the two primarily used type of research. In our later discussion, we will discuss this type of research in an extensive way. Another type of research is applied research and fundamental research. What is applied research? It aims to find a solution for an immediate problem facing a society. In another term, we call it action research. So, immediate problem facing finding is applied research, or an industrial or business organization. Not only it's not happening in society, it's happened in industry or in business organization. Research studies concerning human behavior carried on with a view to make generalization about human behavior. Also, the example of this kind of research, but research aims at certain conclusions, like a solution facing a concrete social or business problem is another example of applied research. And what is fundamental research? It is mainly concerned with generalization and with the formulation of theory. Research concerning some natural phenomena or relating to pure mathematics are example of fundamental research. Generally, in our educational field, fundamental research are being doing very less. I think less way. Next type of research is quantitative research versus qualitative research. Primarily, these two type of research are being extensively used in our educational field. Quantitative research based on the measurement of quantity or amount. It is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. And what is qualitative research? On the other hand, it is concerned with the qualitative phenomena relating to or involving quality or kind. If we take an example, then when we are interested in investigating the research for human behavior, like as why people think or do certain things, we quite often talk of motivation research, an important type of qualitative research. This type of research aims at discovering the underlying motives or desires using in-depth interviews for the purpose. Another technique is being applied here, some kind of tests, sentence completion test, story completion test, or similar other kind of projective techniques. Attitude or opinion research designed to find how people feel or what they think about a particular subject or institution. So, quantitative research and qualitative research are being extensively used in social science field or in educational aspect. It's a very normal practice. It's a very natural practice of researcher doing this kind of research in their expertise in their field. So such research, we can analyze the various factors which motives people to behave in a particular manner, which make people like or dislike particular things. Okay, next type of research is conceptual versus empirical research. Conceptual research is that related to some abstract ideas or theories. It is generally used by philosophers or thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. And on the other hand, empirical research relies on experience or observation alone. Empirical studies relies on the experience, previous experience or observation, which will be observed or which will be measured, often without due regard for system and theory. It's a data-based research coming up with conclusion which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. Such as when we doing any kind of research in survey way method, there we need to observe some kind of samples, and after gathering sample, we need to experiment or we need to testing those samples. We can also eat as experimental type of research. Just like say that in experiment way, we can also use this kind of research. In such a research, it is necessary to get facts and other sources and activities to go about doing certain things to stimulate the production of desired formulation. In such a research, the researcher must first provide himself with a working hypothesis or guess. Those who are engaged in research, we need to formulate hypotheses or guesses for a probable result. So here we find conceptual and empirical research. And lastly, not but the least, some other type of researches. Here, you may say that longitudinal research, laboratory kind of research, explanatory kind of research, historical research, conclusion oriented or discussion oriented research. Here, another kind of research I need to mention that is mixed method type of research. Other type of research are also variations of one or more of the above stated approaches based on either the purpose of research or the time requires to accomplish researches on the environment in which research is done or on the basis of some other similar factors. That is longitudinal research. In the former case, the researcher is confined to a single time period, whereas in the later case, the researcher is carried on over several time periods. One-time research or longitudinal research. These are the two other type of researches. Research can also be field setting research or field research or field kind of survey or laboratory research or simulation research, depending upon the environment in which it is to be carried out. What kind of objects or what kind of environment we are carrying out. These are the type of researches. Research can as well be understood as clinical or diagnostic research. It is another type of research we need to understand, that clinical or diagnostic type of research. Such research follow case study method or in-depth approach to reach the basic causal relations. Case study method is primarily being applied in clinical or diagnostic type of research. Such study usually go deep into the cause of things or events that interest us. Another type of research is explanatory, or it may be formalized. The objective of explanatory research is to the development of hypothesis rather than their testing. How to formulate hypothesis is one of the first primary objectives of explanatory research. Whereas formalized research studies are those with substantial structure and specific hypothesis to be tested. And another type of research is historical research. Historical research are like source-based, source finding, or source analyzing sources like documents and to study events or ideas of the past, including the philosophy of persons or groups at any remote point of time. Another extensive way in historical research is another one, which extensive way we are practicing in our social science group, in our social science research field. And another type of research is conclusion oriented or decision oriented. While doing conclusion oriented research, a researcher is free to pick up a problem, redesign the inquiry as he proceeds, and is prepared to conceptualize as he wishes. So conclusion oriented is another kind of research, and decision oriented research is always for the need of a decision maker, and the researcher in this case is not free to embank upon research according to his own inclinations. Operational research is another example of decision oriented research. And here I mentioned a mixed method research. Another type of research is an approach to inquiry that combines Hello, is anyone talking? Okay. Mixed method is an approach to inquiry that combines or associates both qualitative and quantitative way. It involves philosophical assumptions, use of qualitative and quantitative approach, and the mixing of both approaches is studied. This is relatively new research method which differentiating mixing up of the strategies.
Sunita ma'am, please mute yourself. Sunita ma'am.
Hello.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sunita ma'am, please mute yourself.
Sunita ma'am, please mute yourself. Sunita Babulkar, please mute yourself.
Is my PPT visible or disappeared?
No, not visible.
Okay. Now it's visible?
Yes, full screen, please.
Okay. Okay, so here we have the meaning of, or here we are going through different kinds or different types of researches. Now, we are discussing about research approach. Just few minutes ago or previously, I just tried to tell that in our social science research, primarily we are following two kinds of research extensive way, that is quantitative approach and qualitative approach. So what is quantitative approach? It involves the generation of data in quantitative form, which can be subjected or rigorous quantitative analysis in a formal or rigid fashion. This approach can be further classified into inferential, experimental, and simulation approaches. So, this is a approach which we may engage or we may follow in our research. The purpose of inferential approach to research is to form a database from which to infer characteristics or making relationship of all population. This usually means survey research where a sample of population is studied with the questionnaire or observation or any kind of form the researcher may determine, and it is then inferred that the population has the same characteristics. Experimental approach is characterized by much greater control over the research environment, and in this case some variables are manipulated to observe their effect on the other variables. So here we need to discuss about the variables that generally in our research activity we have primarily two kinds of variables. One is dependent variable and another is independent variable. And apart from this, there is another kind of variable that is extraneous variable. So, variable is very important aspect for formulating research or for formulating research aspects. Simulation approach involves the construction of an artificial environment within which relevant information and data be generated. This permits an observation of the dynamic behavior of a system. Under controlled condition. The term simulation in the context of business or social science applications refer to the operation of numerical model that represents the structure of a dynamic process. Given the values of initial conditions, parameters, and exogenous variables, a simulation is run to represent the behavior of process over time. So here we tried to discuss inferential, experimental, and simulation approaches of quantitative approach of research. In different kind of books, we have different names of approach. And another approach is qualitative approach. It is to research is concerned with subjective assessment of attitudes, opinions, and behavior. Research in such a situation is a function of researchers' insight and impressions. Such an approach to research generates result either in non-quantitative form or in the form which are not subjected to rigorous quantitative analysis. Generally, the technique of focus group interviews, project techniques, and in-depth interviews are used. So primarily these are the two types of approaches we may follow in our research endeavors. Now we come to the methods. Here we are having two kinds of terms. One is research methods and another is methodology. So research method, first try to grab the meaning of research methods. It may be understood as those methods or techniques that are used for conducting research. Research methods, in another term that is technique, refers to the methods of the researcher use in performing research operations. The objects of research, particularly the applied research, it is to arrive at a solution for a given problem. The variable, the available data, and the unknown aspect of the problem have to relate to each other to make solution possible. So here are three groups of research methods. Firstly, we include those methods which are concerned with the collection of data. These methods will be used where the data already available are not sufficient to arrive at the required solution. Second one is consisting of those statistical techniques which are used for establishing relationships between the data and the unknowns. And third group is consisting of the method which are used to evaluate the accuracy of the results obtained. So here we have a little meaning about research methods. And what is research methodology? It is a way to systematically solve the research problem. We generally follow in our research activity research methodology. It may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically. In it, we study the various steps that are generally adopted by a researcher. In studying his research problem along with the logic behind them, it is necessary for the researcher to know not only the research methods or techniques, but also the methodology. Researchers not only used to know how to develop certain tests, how to calculate the mean, the mode, the median, or the standard deviation, or any kind of statistical procedure, correlation, regression, prediction, etc., etc. How to apply certain kind of research techniques in their studies, but they also need to know which of these methods or techniques are relevant and which are not. We know that there are various kind of methods and which type of technique procedure is applicable to your research only. This is the procedural aspects. Researcher also need to understand the assumptions underlying various techniques, and they need to know the criteria by which they can decide that certain techniques or procedure will be applicable to certain problems and others will not. All this means, so if we take an example, for example, an architect who designs a building has to consciously evaluate the basis of his decisions. Like as he has to evaluate why and what basis he selects particular size, number, and location of doors, windows, and ventilators. Uses particular materials and not others. Like similarly, the researcher and the scientist has to expose the research decisions to evaluate before they are implemented. So research methods and research methodology are the two different kinds of aspects, are the two different sections, are the two different channels we engage in our research. When we talk of research methodology, we not only talk of the research methods, but also consider the logic behind the method. What kind of method we are using? We use in the context of our research study and explain why are using a particular method or technique, why we are not using others or other kind of procedures. Here we may analyze a particular section, that research and scientific method. Then we may call it a scientific procedure. Scientific method has some kind of characteristics or some kind of ways, like that it relies on empirical evidence, it utilizes relevant concepts, it is committed to only objects or considerations, like this. So when we use methodology, it's a scientific method. It's a scientific encouragement. It's a scientific uses or scientific process which we are going to use in our research. So scientific method encourages a rigorous and impersonal mode of proceeding, detecting the demand of logic and objective procedures. Research process. So we have discussed different types, different process, and meaning nature of research. Now we come into our primary or our very important stages, that is research process. Here we will find 11 ways for completing a research work. Firstly, it is very much needed to formulating the research problem. If we discuss or if we try to know what is research problem, we will have that research problem are two types of research problems. Those which relate to state of nature, and another one is those which relate to relationship between variables. If we go to the Shodh Ganga or InfibNet of UGC, there we will find numerous numbers of research problems, numerous numbers of research topics. Here, you just will find these two type of problems. That is, one is states of nature, any kind of problem, any kind of aspect, any kind of issue which states its nature. And another one is the relationship between variables. Just few minutes ago, I just tried to discuss there are primarily two types of variable we entertain or we incorporate in our research work. One is independent variable and another is dependent variable. So most of the studies are seeking the relationship, seeking the differences, seeking the comparison between variables. So formulating the research problem is need to be based on this type of aspects. At the very outset, of researcher must single out the problem he wants to study. He must decide the general areas of interest, aspects of subject matter that he would like to inquire into. Researcher, when we ask any kind of any researcher, how did you choose or how will you choose a research problem? He definitely will answer, he or she first and foremost way, he will emphasize on his interest of any kind of subject, interest, any kind of area, or any kind of aspect. He would like to inquire. Initially, the problems may be stated in a broader, general way, and then the ambiguity, if relating to the problem, is discovered. So, formulating research problem is very, very fast and very important step of a research process. Next one is extensive literature survey. It is in another way, we all may call that reviews of related literature. What is literature survey? What are the main function of literature survey? Being a researcher or being a supervisor or being research guide, we generally instruct our students to go through your interest areas, go through your interest subjects, and find the reviews or find the literature. Here The literature is not particularly meaning of the cultural aspect. It's a more than cultural aspect. It's the total process. It's the total dependence of any kind of problem. So once the problem is formulated, the researcher is need to study literature reviews or need to have a look upon, or look into the literature reviews. What are the literature reviews? The previous research, the previous studies already have been done, already research completed, already those researchers being awarded their doctoral degree. Those are literature reviews. Those are literature surveys. What is the function of literature survey? It is compulsory for a research worker or getting PhD degree to write synopsis on the topic of subject to the necessary research committee or necessary research board. When any kind of researcher will go through an interview process, he or she must present a research proposal. He or she need to present a research proposal. What did or what will a researcher or what will a researcher try to show their research proposal? Their extensive way of literature reviews. When we ask him or her, how did you choose the topic? Then he must emphasize on previous studies, that is literature survey or literature review. So how will we function this literature survey? Only by Shodh-Ganga? No. There are various ways, by studying articles, by studying journals, by studying pamphlets, by studying newspapers, or any kind of documents which are published or unpublished, or any kind of academic activities or any kind of field works. This may help you study literature survey or literature reviews. Okay. After literature survey or literature reviews, there need to develop the hypothesis. You have been selected a problem. You have extensive survey previous studies, and now what will you do? You must have to formulate hypothesis. And what is hypothesis? These are the assumptions. These are the imaginary ways to solve the problems. After extensive literature review, researchers should state in clear terms the working hypothesis or hypothesis. Working hypothesis tentatively assumed made in order to draw out the test its logical or empirical consequences. So first of all, we need to formulate hypothesis. These are the there are different ways of formulating hypothesis. How does one go about developing working hypothesis? There are different stages. One is discussing with the colleagues or experts about the problem, its origin, and the objectives in seeking a solution. You have selected a problem and now discuss the title or the problem to your experts, to your teachers, to your colleagues, to your friends, etc. They will try to show different way. Another way of developing hypothesis, examination of data and records, if available, concerning the problems of possible trends or other clues. Historians, when any kind of treasure hunter go or finding some kind of treasures, they need clues, they need records. From one clue to another clue to next another, this leads to him or her the treasure place. So likewise, in our research field, we must also study, we must also examine the available data or records about your selected topic, about your formulated research problems. And another way is formulating hypothesis is that review of similar studies in the area of the studies or similarities, similar problems. And lastly, exploratory personal investigation, which involves original field reviews or limited scales, interest parties, etc. So, by these ways or procedures, we can formulate hypothesis about a selected problem. Number 4 is preparing the research design. What is research design? The research problem have been formulated in a clear-cut terms. The researcher will require to prepare a research design. How do a researcher or how do we conduct a study? How do we study the research problem? Likewise, exploration, description, diagnosis, examination, and any other kind of forms we may take it for granted. When the purpose happens to articulate description of a simulation or association between variables, the suitable design will be one of the minimized basis and maximize of reliability of the data collected and analysis. So research design, there are various kind of research design. How do we conduct our studies in our available sources, in our available possible ways. There are survey ways, there are descriptive ways, there are case study ways, there are experimental ways, there are historical ways. What type of research design we are trying to form, we are trying to use in our particular research. Number 5 is determine sample design. Here we must remember that in historical research or historical way of research, we don't need samples, but we need primary and secondary sources. But these are also samples in another way of historical research. But when we discuss or when we do our research in quantitative and qualitative way, there must need samples. So samples are very much important for doing our research. All the items under consideration in any field or inquiry constitute a universe or population. What is sample? And what number of sample we must take for our studies is also a procedure for sample design. If, for example, if someone is doing his or her research in a particular topic of a district of or state, he or she need to select area, which type of area he or need to select. Suppose my area is school level students, then I must go to school level students only, or my area is college level or higher education or any kind of level which we will choose for our research. So sample formulates our research activity. There is a reasonable sample size for our 2 or 3 variables for finding comparison or difference or relationship between 2 or 3 variables. We must advise to our researchers or the research scholars to go for a number of maximum available sample. If you ask me what number of sample we must take for a research work, then I'll answer that it will depend on your research area or research study or research variable. 2 or 3 variable, maximum 2 or 3 variables, we go for 600, minimum 600 sample size. It's a highest degree you are achieving. So more or less, your sample size need to be a reasonable one. If not less than 100 or 200, it may vary from case study or experimental research or ethnographic research or any kind of research. Then the sample size may vary from sample numbers. So sample design is very significant one, and here we may gather sample in different ways, like deliberating sampling, simple random sampling. These are the sample techniques: systematic sampling, stratified sampling, quota sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling, and sequential sampling. So these are the various type of sampling designs you may adapt for your research work, for your research activities. Next, number 6 is collecting data. After formulating sampling design, you need to go to collect data from your sample area or populated area. So collecting data is another very significant and very important phase of a research work, research activity. In dealing with any real life problem, it is often found that data at hand are inadequate. It becomes necessary to collect data and appropriate. There are several ways of collecting appropriate data which offers considerable in consequences of money cost, time consuming, and research activities. By how we can collect data. In our social science research, mostly we use questionnaires, self-made questionnaires, or reliable and valid questionnaire that is already available in our India. There is a Agra Psychological Association which provide our ready-made samples, ready-made data collecting techniques or data collecting sample. They provide us data collecting tools, data collecting procedure, and another one is self-made tool. So how do we collect data? By observation, by through personal interviews, through telephonic interviews, by mailing questionnaires. We are seeing that during lockdown period, it is getting very popular that Google Form is another way of collecting data. Is another way of having information for research. So mailing of questionnaires and through schedules. So these are the different aspects. These are the different ways we can collect data. Likewise, I said that primarily we follow questionnaires, self-made or purchased questionnaire, that is that will be incorporated in our research activities or in our research work. Number 7 is execution of the projects. After collecting data, it's time to use those data in our research activities, in our research in our research field. Execution of the project is a very important step in the research process. If the execution of the project procedures on correct lines, the data to be collected would be adequate and dependable. Must, if we go to collect data and we are being reported that we are not finding any kind of data, or we are not having required data, then our research project or research activity will not be executed. So your research, your data must be available. We generally do our activities, we generally perform our research activities in our available sources of data area or available sources of data level. Generally we go for school, generally we go for college, and generally we go for higher level students. Primarily we are using our student in our research activities. And there are others, teachers, scholars, friends, families, neighbors, educated persons, etc. So research available area is very much needed for execution of the research project. Number 8 is analysis of data. That is interpretation of data analysis, where we do our research, do our gathering data, analyzed, do our data in an analytical way. There we the analysis of data requires a number of closely related operations such as establishment of categories. Establishment of categories, the application of these categories to raw data through the coding, tabulation, and then drawing statistical inferences. After collecting data, we need to analyze data in rural area level, in urban area level, like example, in male or female level, etc. And we tabulate this kind of data into statistical way, and we do this in coding ways. Okay. Number 9 is hypothesis testing. Here in analysis of data, we generally assemble our data in different forms like histogram, polygon, or mosaic, etc. form, and there we found sputus kurtosis in analytical way. So after data analysis, we fall into hypothesis testing level. Hypothesis. In our third point, we develop our hypothesis. Now, in our 9th step, we need to test those hypotheses, those developed hypotheses. After analyzing data and other procedures, it is needed a researcher to test hypothesis. Do the facts support of hypothesis or happen to be contrary? We generally formulate hypothesis like there is a relationship between male or female in aspect of motivational level. Suppose this is a hypothesis. So there is a significant relationship, or there is a significant difference, or there is a significant comparison, for example. So you are assuming that there is a significant difference, significant relation, significant comparison. When we analyze hypothesis, it will found that there is no relationship or there is a relationship. So these, after testing hypothesis, we must have a result that is there any kind of relationship prevail or is there no relationship at all. So hypothesis testing, when we go for hypothesis testing, we will find these aspects. Number 10, generalization and interpretation. It's the
तो मीटिंग बुलाते हैं माइक्रो टीचिंग में जगह करके, और मैं आपको बाद में बताऊंगी कि सारा का जो वो है ना एपिसेंटर जनरेट जो हो रहा है वो एक ही स्थान पे
Please mute yourself. Munna Madhav, please mute yourself.
People who are actually मेरे साथ तो प्रॉब्लम ऐसे लड़ो ना, आपसे क्यों लड़ते हैं? सुमन तो क्यों फेस लाल लाल करके लड़ते हैं?
मुन्ना माधव, please mute.
आपको ढूंढ रही हूं तो मुझे क्यों ढूंढ रही हो?
Okay, generalization and interpretation.
Chemistry ma'am,
Munna sir, please mute yourself.
बंदूक चला दिया मैम टाइम मैम मुझे लग रहा है सुनिए सुनिए टाइम टेबल शेयर हुआ टाइम टेबल जरूर कोई बंदूक मुझे को आइडिया दुबई से नहीं अटैक
Chemistry ma'am, please mute him.
एक्लिप्स हो रहा है हम इतने एक्साइटेड अबाउट एक्लिप्स है ये वो ब्लैक कलर का कपड़ा पहने आएंगे अच्छा चूड़ी पहन के वो सब पहले प्रसाद लाए सबके लिए ढक्का बजा कर मुंह खराब करके फेस रेड करके क्योंकि दुनिया की जितना भी रेडनेस है ना सब फेस में
From the host, please mute him.
मैं बता दिया ना
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
I could not mute him, so I removed him.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes,
Shamasi?
Udan, please
Yes, sir.
continue.
Yes, sir.
Please continue.
Okay. Thank you very much. So now we are come to our last portion, that is generalization or interpretation of data. After testing hypothesis, we now fall into the findings of our results or interpretation or depiction of our results. Here in this section, if any kind of hypothesis tested and upheld several times and may possible arrive any kind of generalization, such as a number of students are comparatively different from another section of the students. So in generalized way, we may depict in our findings that our research is going to this way. Our research is following our selected topic, such as there is a relationship between Omuk and there is a relationship between X and Y in aspect of this and that. So when we come to in a generalized form, then we will have a knowledge of generalized way. We will have a generalized interpretation that male or female, that urban or rural, that boys or girls may vary from this and that. And lastly, it's a time to prepare for research, the research report or presentation of result or formal write-up of the conclusion ahead. So this is the last portion of research process, the writing research report. Here we may now we may go to now we just go to the first stage. There we formulate research problem, there we formulate hypothesis, there we formulate objectives. Now when we come to the last portion of research draft report, there we will definitely find that objectives wise, hypothesis wise, the variables are related or different or comparatively different or related or making any kind of relation. So in our last section, we will definitely found our research, our planned work in a positive way. So this is the final process of our research way. Now we come to our last section of the discussion, that is criteria of good research. What will be the criteria? The process of research should be clearly defined and common concept be used. Definitely, we are doing our research in our common areas or concepts. First of all, one researcher need to be very clear about their concepts, about their identity which they are going to present. Number two, the research procedure used should be described in sufficient detail to permit another research to repeat the research for further advancement, keeping the continuity of what has already been attained. Here, in this section, we must definitely mention in our research work that limitation, that one researcher did not, or one researcher will not reach to the all section of the society, to the all section of the state, to the all section of the nation. So there we must left further study, further way, so that our future researcher will have a scope for further research. So one researcher must select a sufficient detail or permit area where further research may happen or may be possible. Number 3, the procedural research design of research should be carefully planned to yield research results that are objective as possible. Definitely, we will select a problem which will yield results, which will produce results. If we select a problem and though the selected problem will not found any kind of result, then our total research work will be in a void, will be in a zero level area. Number 4, the researcher should report the complete frankness, flaws in procedural design and estimate the effect upon the findings. So research activity will not be like that, will not be a flawless, will not be a frankness. There need a frankness, there needs a flaw. If your research work is a flawless, if your research work is clueless, or if your research work is 100% right, then your research will not be studied in further way. So research need to be a flaw. Research need to be a frankness and procedural design and estimate their effort. It cannot be like this, that my research activity will complete in 50 years. No, this won't be possible. It need to be, there is a stipulated time already been given for our research scholars. In our new research regulation, one research scholar must get maximum 6 years. And in case of women candidate, it will reach into 7 years. So in the stipulated time, in between stipulated time, your research need to be complete. Number 5, the analysis of data should be sufficiently adequate to reveal its significance, and the method of analysis used should be appropriate. The validity and reliability of the data should be checked carefully. So your research must represent this kind of aspects. Method of analysis should be appropriate. Your data should be reliable and valid. Your data should be sufficient, and your process data analysis or your any kind of research activity process will be valid. Number 6, conclusion should be confined to those justified by the data of the research and limit to those for which the data provides an adequate basis. It must be in adequate. In sample gathering stage, I referred that in variable way, in aspect of variables used in your topic, in your research problem, such as 2 or 3 variables, your sample size should be or not less than 5 or 600. It may be above than 5 or 600, but not less than. So your data should represent, your data should be justified for finding adequate basis, adequate databases. And number 7 is great confidence in research is warranted if the researcher is experienced, has a good reputation in research, and is a person of integrity. So from these aspects, we may go for, we may do for a good research, and these are the some primary criteria of good research activities. And what are the qualities of good research? What should be the qualities of a good research? Good research is a systematic, definitely. It's a systematic way. Likewise, in our first slide, we have tried to discuss that research is a systematic way of gathering new knowledge. It means that research is structured with specific steps to be checked, specific steps to be taken in a specific sequence in accordance with the well-defined set of rules. Systematic characteristics of the research does not rule out creative thinking, but it certainly does reject the use of guessing and intuition in arriving conclusions. So good quality is like that. Your research would be a systematic, in a structured, step-wise way, and step maintaining sequence-wise way. And there should provoke a critical thinking in ourselves, in the readers. Number 2, good research is logical. Definitely, it should be a logical way. This implies that research is guided by the rules of logical reasoning and the logical process of induction and deduction are of the great value in carrying out the research. Our research should be logical in inductive way and in deductive way. And number 3, good research is empirical. It should be empirical. It implies that research is related basically to one or more aspects of real situation and deals with concrete data that provides a basis for external validity to research result. Aspects of situation which deal concrete in the concrete data, those data which has its relevance, which has its usability, which has its applicability, and external validity of the research results. And lastly, good research is replicable. Definitely, it should be replicable. The characteristics allows research results to be verified by replicating the studies and thereby building a sound basis for decisions. Any kind of research has its finding. Any kind of research has its way of showing to the society in a different way, in a newer way, in a new achieving knowledge way. So these are the in short of my presentation. And in our last but concluding speech, I must refer that problems encountered in our India, which are the fields, which are the areas which we choose for doing a research, which should be chosen by a researcher. So these are the final concluding words. I must conclude here, and thank you very much for giving me and patient hearing for a topic of research methodology. I hand over to the microphone to the organizers, Shamasri and Prathita Di.
Yes. Thank you, Udan, for your nice presentation. We can see that in summary, we can say that Dr. Udan sir has covered various aspects of research, starting from what is research, characteristics of research, and types of research, qualitative research, quantitative research, so what is sampling, areas of research, and the character and what are the characteristics of good research. So various aspects he has covered in a very elaborate way, and I think the participants really benefited from today's lecture. Thank you, Udan, once again. And
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay. And dear participants, we would like to tell you that the next day schedule is slightly changed. That in the Monday, 24th April, Dr. Shubhadeep Mojumdar sir, HOD, Department of Education, Swami Vivekananda University, will deliver his lecture on academic writing. So, dear participants, the schedule is slightly changed, and Dr. Prathita Bishwas will be telling his lecture, will delivering his her lecture on Tuesday, and my lecture will be on 26th April, Wednesday. So this is the slightly change in the schedule. Thank you all, and if there is Dr. Prathita Bishwas ma'am, I would like to invite her for some concluding speech. Ma'am, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Shamosri. And thank you, Udayan, for such a lovely deliberation. In the first day, it was very nice and at the same time very strong. So I hope that all the participants also have enjoyed, and there were a lot of comments in the chat box, which we saw, and which also rather must have motivated and inspired you, because it is because of the participants we get very motivated, and we always feel that it is a great deliberation we are producing, because the participants are listening to us so productively. So I also thank all the participants, and at the same time, since today this is the first day, so now we will be concluding right now, and if you have any questions, you can write in the email. I have sent you an email, and in the group chat also I will send you the email. So definitely we will try to answer the questions. Since it is already 1 o'clock, and we are running short of time. And once again, I thank Dr. Udayan Mondal sir for such a lovely deliberation. And as Dr. Shamosri Shur madam has spoken, that there is a slightly change in schedule, and Monday the deliberation will be given by Dr. Shubhadeep Mojumdar, the assistant professor and HOD Department of Education, Swami Vivekananda University. So I thank one and all for joining, and I hope that in the second day also you will be joining in the same time. and we will be sharing the link as told to you 15 or 20 minutes prior. So don't get impatient. We will be definitely sharing the link, and definitely we will be having some exercise also, since this is a add-on course and the workshop mode. So that you will come to know within the process of time. And once again, I thank Udayan and also to the organizing committee members for helping and supporting us. So,
Ma'am,
Shamashri,
I have something to say regarding their homework. Ma'am,
yes,
may I
Shamashri, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, dear participants. It's a request to you, all of you, that you should prepare a research proposal within 1000 words. Okay, within 1000 words, you should prepare a research proposal. And on the 9th, on the 8th day, 30th April, we would like to discuss about your proposal, and if there is any problem regarding sampling, hypothesis, or research questions, or tools or designs, if there is any problem, we can discuss. As it is a holiday, we will discuss. It's a home assignment day. You can see the schedule. It's a home assignment. So on that day, it will only discussion will be going on about your proposal, and at the end of the day, before the end day, that is on 2nd May, you have to submit a research proposal or about 1000 words on that email ID given by Pratita madam in the WhatsApp group. So from the first day, I have declared that you should prepare a research proposal, and on that basis, we will give you grading, and that grading will be written on your certificate. So please prepare one research proposal. Thank you, all of you, dear participants. And we would like to expect that all these 10 days we will be in this journey, and you will cooperate us. Thank you once again. See you in the next Monday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone who participated here, and thank you all for thank you to the organizers for organizing such a wonderful 10 days workshop. And we'll hope best of luck for the program, and all the participants, those who are participated different parts of the world, India, in our state as well as outside of the state. Thank you very much, everyone gathered here. And I have just tried a little bit, and in next day sessions, different sirs and madam will discuss in elaborate way. Thank you very much. If any kind of question you have, all please leave it to the organizers, and we'll try to give you answers in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Udan. I'm ending this meeting. Thank you.